Yes, Neela, you're audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, okay, fine. So, yep, I think we can start now, and let's just okay, we have already started recording the session. So, yep. So, first of all, hello everyone, and thanks for joining today's session. And today, basically, we are going to discuss about open source, and we are also going to discuss about Hacktoberfest. What is Hacktoberfest, and everything all about open source. And basically, for today, we have Uppalendu with us, and Utpalendu will like briefly introduce himself. But yep, and also Utpalendu will just explain everything in details. And in the last 15 minutes, you can ask Utpalendu your doubts in the Q&A section. So yeah, feel free to ask your doubts to Utpalendu, and we will try our best to solve your doubts. So okay, so over to you, Utpalendu. You can start now.
Okay, so let me give a short introduction about myself. I am Utpalendu Burman, and I am from JGC, Jalpaiguri Government Engineering College, from IT department, 23 batch. And so just wait for a second, I have to mute my notifications. Okay, so we can go. Okay, so today's topic is introduction to open source and Hacktoberfest. Okay, so actually, open source basically refers to a type of structure or software development structure, which is provided for free and open to all. Okay, we're going to in detail description of this concept. Okay, so what is open source basically is? It's not an programming language, not a software, even not a website. It's just an development structure, we can say. So by definition, it says that the program whose owner permits other to use, study, and update and distribute the software for free, and distributes its source code for any purpose. I mean, you can use the source code of an open source program for maybe in commercial purposes or in study purpose or in any research purpose without the consent of the author. So it is a good opportunity for everyone to contribute to open source. You can easily implement it in anywhere. Okay, so this was the basic definition of open source. So let's continue. And next point is how to recognize whether a software or a program is open source or not. We can see it through license of that program. Basically, there are I think 5 or 6 type of licenses, but we are going to see four most here. So the first one is MIT license. MIT license basically refers to that license which allows you to use that source independently without any consent or any authority permission. I mean, you can 100% freely use that source code anywhere. And rest other 3 has few restriction. Like if I want to say this one, GNU, General Public License. This, according to this license, it states that you need to inform the author of that program that what your changes and where you want to use the source. And same for Apache license, and BSD is quite similar to MIT without few restrictions. Okay, so you can get to know about all this if you do some basic research about all these licenses in detail. You can Google it. So next point is software examples. The most common and the huge example you can say is Linux. Linux is a huge distribution and it is open source, free to all. You can use it, edit it, or further distribute it, or can use in any of your commercial project or your research-based work. And next is Mozilla Firefox, one of the very most common web browser. It is also open source. VLC Media Player. LibreOffice is also one of the most common and popular open source application. And Blender is usually used for 3D rendering and all other stuffs. I think nowadays Blender is also used in game development and that kind of stuff. So these are few software examples. Now let's continue to next. This is library examples. Actually, open source is not limited to few softwares or any other kind of application. The library that we use in our day-to-day life also can be open source, like TensorFlow, PyTorch, OpenCV, Selenium, and one thing that I like to include is here. Um, in most of our projects in Python or say for example we are making one project in Python using OpenCV. So you don't have to take any permission from the author of OpenCV. You can make your own, deploy your own. So this is one of the good example of open source library. And also TensorFlow is also used for computer vision, on deep learning and ML purposes. So this is also another good example of open source. So library can be also a open source project. And say, for example, you are right now creating one website using web templates made in HTML or CSS. So that template can be also open source. So we can't say that open source are only softwares or applications, but it can also be library, a piece of code, anything. So next is benefit of open source in project development. Say for example, just now I have said that if you want to make a project using OpenCV, you don't have to take the permission from the real author of OpenCV. You can easily conclude in your include in your project and deploy it. So actually, OpenCV belongs to MIT license, so it doesn't require any permission. And so, what are the benefit of using open source in code in your project? It is affordable. That means you can easily get access to the code. You don't have to pay any money for that. And of course it is very high quality because thousands of developer in their daily life is implementing the code for various purposes, and it has been modified hundreds of times. uh, Real industry experts are using these codes, and they make comment to that code that what needs to be modified or how they can upgrade it. So of course the code that you are getting from open source that are high quality. And next point is simple license management. You don't have to think about any license types of thing because it is already open source. And just look at the thing that what kind of license is that the program belongs to. If it is MIT or GNU, just follow that. And I mean, you don't have to follow any license structure or any that kind of thing. And speed. Say, for example, you want to make a authentication project. I mean, you want to make a login app, and you want to use a mm, open source code. So in this case, already the source code has been deployed in somewhere like GitHub or GitLab, and it has been modified thousands of times. So in terms of quality, you don't have to think. So if you implement that code in your project, you are definitely to gain some speed in your code because you are already copying it from some good source and pasting in your code. So definitely you are going to gain some speed here. So these are few open source project development benefits. And now let's turn to next, and that is benefit of open source in career growth. Okay, so the first thing that you are going to get if you want to get in touch with some community is the community bonding. There are lots of expert developers that they belong to your community. I mean, open source community. They can actually they are industry experts. They can guide you in what way or to how to write the proper code that can match their community standard or the industry expert. So you are going to get lot of references from them, and definitely got lot of advanced advices from them. And next thing, you may be a good CP, means competitive coder. So this thing here, there exists a difference in your resume. Okay, so if you are a good CP coder, you can't add that in your profile, I mean in your CV. But if you add some project that you have contributed in open source, it will boost your CV drastically. So definitely it is also good for CV. So next thing, prerequisites. So if you want to contribute in open source, you need to have some moderate level of knowledge about Git and version control system. You don't need to be an expert level, or just you can contribute to any open source project without any high level language of Git or version control system. Now, how to contribute to open source? So there are mainly three ways to get into open source. First of all, you can get into any community and understand the community requirement, solve the problem, and contribute to the community. First, you have to get into touch with that community, understand what in what project they are working and what are their requirement in the upcoming time, and you can make your own code and just deploy that in your in their code base. And next way is to participate in open source coding programs like Hacktoberfest and GSOC. Like this, you can contribute or participate in open source coding programs. And this will do the same thing as number one. You will get in touch with some community members, grow your skills. And next thing, that is point number three, you can also contribute to open source by making your own project and host that project in GitHub or GitLab and let other to contribute in your project. And that is also a kind of contribution to open source world. Okay, so this was how you can contribute to open source. And now let's talk about open source programs that are available right now. So I have actually sorted this by time, means upcoming programs. So the very next upcoming program is Hacktoberfest, which is conducted by DigitalOcean, Intel, and Dev.to. So this is one of the most beginner-friendly program, we can say. Anyone can contribute to this, and you are also going to get some good goodies. And next is JWOC, which is conducted by our college itself, and it is mainly it follows the same structure of the Hacktoberfest, or you can say GSOC. You are also going to get here some good amount of goodies and participation certificate. And next is Girls Summer of Code, GSSOC. And as the name suggests, it is not only limited to the girls participant. If you are a boy, or anyone can participate in this program. And next is Major League Hacking. This is also one of the most famous program. I mean, open source program. You can also participate here. Fossia, I think everyone knows this. The Fossia is also very popular, and the most famous one is Google Summer of Code. And this is considered to be the most hardest, but actually it is not so hard. Anyone can take part. You get ample of time to participate here. So don't just think on the code base is heavy. It is also much easier, and I would say it will. It is same as like a Hacktoberfest or JWOC or that level only. Just you have to focus on the particular issue that you want to work for. And next is our Hacktoberfest, which is the main topic of today's session. Okay, so who can participate in this program? Actually, there is no restriction in taking part in Hacktoberfest. You don't have to be a student only, but you can also be a professional. Actually, variety of people takes part here. You can be a school student, a college student, or a professional, anyone. I mean, you don't have to submit any valid proof to take participation in this program. In case of GSOC and many other programs, they want that student proof, but you don't have to submit anything here. Okay, so I have few suggestion if you want to take part in this program. Uh, you should definitely focus on the quality, not on quantity. Uh, okay, so before that, I like to say something about Hacktoberfest. Actually, it is a very beginner-friendly program that is conducted by DigitalOcean, Dev2, and Intel. It is always welcome that the newbies, like if you are very beginner to open source, you are always welcome to participate in this program, and you don't have to be much expert in coding or there are lots of simple issues like changing the readme repo and some other stuff, changing the logo. That kind of stuffs are also available here. So you can definitely choose Hacktoberfest as a beginner to open source. So few suggestions are there if you are want to participate in Hacktoberfest. Focus on quality, not on quantity. Actually, there are few restrictions like I would not say it's restriction. It's a Hacktober actually it wants only 4 pull requests to complete the program. You will get a few goodies if you just complete the 4 repo submission successfully. And always try to contribute to the hard project and to avoid crowd. This is because always you will see that in most of the simple projects there is lot of crowd. Everyone want to take part in or make a PR in that repo. So it is always suggestive to take part in the hard projects so that you can avoid crowd and take part in that project very easily if you have that much, I mean, knowledge. Okay, so next point is avoid making spammy PRs. Actually, previously I've said that it is a very basic kind of program that everyone can take parts. So there are lots of issues like simply removing few comments or few void functions or changing variable. So these kind of issues are marked as spammy. So I would recommend avoid making spammy PRs. That would be very good option. And next is while making a PR, include a proper description with a snapshot of your work. This point is very important because at the same time you are making PR, there would be lots more people who will be working on the same issue at the same time. So to stand out, you need to make a proper description with a proper snapshot of your work so that it remains highlighted to that issue list. So these are few suggestions, and let's move to few question answer part. Okay, so I am a beginner. Can I take part? Definitely, you can take part if you are a beginner because there are a lot of beginner-friendly issues. Actually, this program is made for beginner-friendly people. Like if you can work on the simple part like changing the graphics or making simple functions, optimizing code. You can definitely take part in that kind of issues. And I am not from CSE IT background. Can I take part? Sure, you can take part, but it is a little good to have some coding knowledge. So it is open for all. And third point is I don't know coding. Can I take part? Yes, you can also take part. As I have previously said, there are lots of issues regarding changing comments or changing the README file. So you can definitely take part without the proper knowledge of coding. So it is open for all. And I am not a pro in Git version control. Can I take part? Yes. Also, this question, I would say answer to this question is yes, because when I took part in JWC for the first time, I didn't have the proper knowledge of Git and version control system. But what I used to do is I used to fork that repo in my GitHub account and make changes, and again I used to make PR to the main repo. So it's quite easy and simple. You don't need to be a pro in Git or version control system to take part in open source. Okay, so if you take part in Hacktoberfest and complete your project successfully, you can get a pretty good amount of goodies like Hacktober T-shirt and few stickers. So this was all about Hacktoberfest, and okay, so let's turn to next session. I think it's question answer session. So I like to request Nila if you are available. So am I audible?
Pulindu, you are audible. And if I just check the Q&A tab, I can see only one question like pull request. So I think Shanket wants to hear more about pull request. What is pull request? So Utpalendu,
Okay.
can you just explain what is pull request?
Okay, so actually, pull requests are the requests that you want to make changes to the main repository. So, for example, I have a project and I want to change a word in my project, and if I make one issue against that this the title of the project should be changed, and you have to clone that project in your profile or account and make changes to your local repository. And when you want to when you think that the project has been or the assignment has been successfully completed, you can request me to change in the main repository or the root repository. So to do that, you need to make one pull request to my project. So this is basically the definition of pull request.
Great. So I think we have answered Shanket's questions. And coming to the next question, Soham is asking what is the difference between open source, free, and proprietary software? So, Utpalendu.
Okay, so actually, open source is a vast field. So, in terms of open source, there are also few codes like if you look into example of Google Chrome, it is also a open source software, but it lies in the section of freeware. That means you can use it for free, but you can't reuse it or remodify it or redistribute it. So they are pretty same. So can you please repeat the question? Actually,
Yep. So the question was, Utpalendu, what is the difference between open source, free, and proprietary software?
okay, so open source are that softwares who means which can be redistributed, remodified, and free softwares are those that might come under open source but are not legally free to modify or redistribute. And proprietary software are those which are has few limitation that may be a paid software or a demo software, or after a certain time that may get into paid version. I mean trial, that kind of thing.
Great. So I think Shoham's doubt is clear now. And coming to the next question, Pushpandu is telling that can you give a demonstration of making a PR? So Pushpandu, I want to take this one. We are not going to see today how to create PR, how to fork it, and those Git stuffs. Today, this is mainly today we have discussed about more about theoretical part, not the practical demonstration. So we'll also provide you some YouTube links or some documentation link, and you can easily get a basic understanding about Git and GitHub and all the version control system. So, sorry, Pushpendu, this is not in our today's agenda. So, yep.
Yes, I
Uh,
think this session about Git and GitHub has been already completed, right?
we have already conducted a session from CFI,
Okay.
our Center for Innovation. So, yeah. And coming to our next question, Avrodeep is asking, will we get certificate from Hacktoberfest program? Utpalendu.
It depends. Actually, in last few years, they means in first few years they have provided certificate as per my knowledge, but in recent or in last few years they are not providing, or I am actually not sure about this. but definitely you can add in your CV, or you will definitely have that proof in your GitHub account if you participate in Hacktoberfest. So you can easily include in your means in your profile to show that you have participated in Hacktoberfest.
Adding to Polendo's point, I just want to clarify one more thing. I think it should be better if you just mention that I have participated in Girl Script Summer of Code 2021. I have participated in Hacktoberfest. These are not some things which will make your CV like super good, but what you need to mention that what are the contribution you made during that event. Maybe you can mention that I have fixed 4 bugs in this repository during Hacktoberfest, or I have made 10 pull requests during the script summer of code in the project ABCD. So that will definitely add more value to your resume. So yeah, just make sure that you are mentioning your contributions, not just mention the event which you have participated. So
Yes,
yep.
this is because the quality of the code that you are contributing matters a lot. Because Hacktoberfest is a long 1 month program, and they just want 4 pull requests from you to get that program passed. So the quality of the pull request matters a lot, because there are many people who can make each pull request per day. That means they can easily make 30 pull requests in the whole month, but they just want just 4 pull requests. So here we can conclude that they just want the quality pull request, not in quantity. Yes.
So, yep, one more thing about Hacktoberfest, which I want to mention, that Hacktoberfest will basically start from 1st October, and it will just run through the whole month, and it will end on the last day of October. So basically, you have one month to submit 4 pull requests, and Hacktoberfest team will basically monitor all the pull requests of all the repositories, and if they find that yep, yeah, you have already submitted 4 pull requests, so you have completed the Hacktoberfest event. This time Hacktoberfest has clearly mentioned that they will only provide the goodies to the first 50K, I think 50 or
55,000.
55K. Yep. So 55,000 participants, those who will complete the first 4 pull requests. So yeah, you also need to keep this thing in mind that don't make spammy pull request, like fixing any typo in the doc and just make pull request, and making some pull request that add your name here and you have done the pull request. Don't do these things, because Hacktoberfest will definitely monitor this pull request, and they generally blacklist those repositories, and your contributions will not be marked as a valid PR. So you will get disqualified for your spammy pull request. So make sure that you are like just doing some good contribution, not don't just rush for the goodies. You will definitely receive some prizes for your good contribution. So keep that thing in mind. And this year we are also planning to include our GDSC project into Hacktoberfest. So for that, we have already created an organization in GitHub. I am dropping the organization's link in the chat box. Just give me a second. So basically, we have created this GitHub organization, the Google Developer Student Club, JGC, and we'll add so many cool projects into our repository in our organization, and we'll add Hacktoberfest labels and Hacktoberfest those issues in our projects, and you guys can contribute to this project, fixing some bugs or adding some new features, and you can definitely complete those 4 PR marks. So feel free to check out our GitHub organization after starting the Hacktoberfest, and we'll also notify you if we start the Hacktoberfest. And after starting the Hacktoberfest, we'll also going to discuss about the project. Okay. So coming to the next question, Shanket is asking, is it possible to arrange a small meet to induce basic knowledge of Git and GitHub version control? Sanket, we have already answered this question. We'll definitely provide you some materials about version control, Git and GitHub. There may be some YouTube videos or maybe some documentation. So, yep, we'll provide you. And also feel free to use our Discord server if you have any queries, if you are facing any issues. And
I think
yep,
it would be better if you create one separate channel for Hacktoberfest.
Hacktoberfest. Yep, we'll definitely create a separate sub channel for Hacktoberfest after the starting of the event. And we are also going to discuss so many cool things in that particular channel. Great.
Okay, so next thing that I want to include is
Mhm.
before starting the session, I was going through the upcoming project list of the Hacktoberfest.
Mhm.
So can I present it here?
Yep, sure, Pulindu. You can present it here so that people can get some basic
Yeah.
understanding about what are the projects you can contribute.
So I have joined this channel, Hacktoberfest. So if I head over this project sharing, you can see a lots of project list and the mentor are submitting their ideas here. So actually the projects are pretty basics. So anyone can easily contribute like this one. This is a basic HTML CSS template made for beginners. If I open this one, you can see the file structure is pretty basic. It contains HTML files and CSS, and he wants this project to look like this. This is rough work of his project, and these are I mean proposed ideas that he wants to include in his project, and you can join their Discord server to have some brief look at the upcoming project ideas. So as per the list, I can see that it's pretty basic and anyone can contribute to this project. See this one. Things to do, he has already mentioned. Fix the UI suite smaller screen. I think he wants to make the screen responsive, make the theme filter and add field and effects. And let me see this one. Actually, I think the link is broken. Okay, so to participate in Hacktoberfest, you need to first register to their site. You can drop your email address here and click on get updates button to get the regular update about the project or to register at the project. And you can always go through their web page. Their they have structurally they have mentioned all the points that you need to know before doing the or participating in the project. And you can always go through the past year projects and gain few knowledge. In case of Hacktoberfest, you don't need to have much good profile. Actually anyone can contribute to this project, so you don't need to make any good proposal and submit it to your mentor or any other kind of stuff. It doesn't require anything. Just see the project, go through the project you are interested in, find the issue you are suitable, and just solve the issue. And I think there is some rules like who will submit the PR first or whose PR will be made must first. Uh, that will be only counted, and rest other I think they don't count it. So keep in mind this thing. And as Niloy previously said, avoid spammy pull requests. This may block you from Hacktoberfest event. So this was all about Hacktoberfest. So Niloy, do you
Yep.
want to conclude anything? Yeah.
Yep. I just want to mention that before contributing to any repositories, just make sure that you are working on the issues which have the label of Hacktoberfest, and also make sure that your pull request should have after merging your pull request should have the label of Hacktoberfest accepted. So these are basically not which you need to keep in mind, but you can't do this from your side. The maintainer or the project admin of any particular project, they are the people who need to do these things. So yep, just keep this thing in mind that you are contributing to any repository, which has the Hacktoberfest label. Otherwise, the pull request will not be counted in your profile. So another thing, we are also going to create so many cool projects, as I already mentioned, and these will be like some basic projects, not very high level React Node.js project. There may be some high level projects like in React or maybe on something like Django, but you can we will also have some beginner friendly projects maybe in Python, HTML, CSS, JS.
Yes.
Sorry for the interaction. And yep, we will be also having some beginner friendly projects in Python, maybe in HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So yep, just keep an eye on our Discord server. If you have not already joined our Discord server, I'll again drop the link. And yep, you are good to go. You can definitely participate in Hacktober. Next, Soham is asking, is editing and contributing to docs part of Hacktoberfest? Yep, definitely. Soham, look, contributing to documentation is also a kind of open source contribution. It's a valid open source contribution. And we also have a big open source event for just for the documentation purpose. This is named as GSOD, the Google Summer of Docs. So, and they pay you like more than the GSOC, the Google Summer of Code for your contribution. And for that event, I think you will have to work on the documentation part of any project. Utpalendu, you can add if you have any idea about GSOD.
Yes, actually, most of the project, I think the first issue that they labeled as beginner first or something that kind. This actually helps these documentation related issues, like changing the version name or editing the these kind of stuffs are always exist in a Hacktoberfest. So if you are a good content editor or a good graphic design knowledge you have, then you definitely will find your suitable issues here.
Documentation is a very important part of any project or any library, I can say. So yes, I think Shwam, your doubt is clear. Let us go to our next question. Soham Dey is asking how to understand big code base and how can I be selected for a GSOC organization? What are the basic requirements of selection? So yeah, Utpalendu have recently participated in Google Summer of Code under the organization CVCRM LLC, and Utpalendu was the student developer there. So Utpalendu, can you just
Yeah, sure.
like throw a basic understanding about
Uh,
what how you can participate in GSOC?
Okay. The most important part to take part in GSOC is the relation maintenance. You have to be in continuous touch with your mentor or the organization. You have to ask your doubt. See, the code base may looks quite advanced or hard, but it's not in actual. Okay. So you don't have to understand the full code base. Just focus on the issue that you want to work for. And a good proposal always is the key to get selected into GSOC. So always try to be focused on making your proposal good, and you will get a very long time to understand the code base, even understand the project, get in touch with the mentor. Actually, they takes I think almost 1 month to shortlist the that proposals, and you get another 1 month to understand or learn the code base. So I think it's pretty huge amount of time to learn anything. So there is nothing to get confused. You can easily crack GSOC. Okay, any more question?
We have so many questions for you.
Okay.
And coming to our next question, so Tonmoy is asking, who told, yeah, okay, you told about hard program and to avoid crowd. Can you elaborate a bit? What
Okay,
is the
so
meaning of that?
say for example, I am posting a project in Hacktoberfest. I want to change the icon of a web page. There would be a lot more people, like thousands of people who will be wanting to work in that issue. So their competition is huge, and the priority will be given to that person who will comment fast. So if you have proper knowledge, you can avoid that crowd by participating in some other issues which has labeled as a hard issue or moderate issue. You will find that in most of the hard or moderate issues, their competition will be considerably lower than the easy issues. So if you have proper knowledge, you can definitely avoid those means easy issues. So that was actually my point. So why means if you have the proper knowledge, why you want to get into that crowd? Okay. So I think my answer is clear, right?
Yep, yep, Bulendo, your answer is clear, I
This
think.
is same in this is also same in case of GSOC also. GSOC also have a few basic kind of project. Actually, in GSOC, the whole project has to do means whole project has to be completed by you if you want to participate in GSOC. There is no issue list or no that kind of labeling. So in case of GSOC also, there you will find most of the crowd gathered at the the easier is means easier project. So it's pretty good to avoid those projects and head over to the harder projects. Yes.
So, okay, next question is when does the registration for Hacktoberfest begin? So I think it is already mentioned in the website itself. Hacktoberfest returns in 1 day, 21 hours.
Okay.
So,
You can
yep.
subscribe to their mailing list if you
Mhm.
regularly want to get updated from them. So it is already in the front page of that website. I think, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just feel free to drop your email here and click the get updates button, and they will notify you when the event will begin. Okay. Our next question is from Shandipon Chatterjee, and he's asking how do we submit our code in open source program?
Sorry, actually, can you repeat? I can't.
How can we submit our code in any open source program? Maybe in Girl Script Summer of Code or
Okay,
any.
so first thing that you have to be quite, you have to have some knowledge about Git and version control system. Actually, open source coding is something like social coding. Okay, so social coding I like to refer as Instagram or Facebook. You are posting one photo or a post, someone comments there. In open source coding, also the same structure work. If you are going to submit some code by your made by your own, someone will comment there and make few issues, ask you to make some changes. So in the similar way means the PR and that repo or the root repository update thing work. To contribute to any open source program or to be a part of any open source community, first you have to get in touch with that community, or else what you can do is you can find the suitable project that you are interested in GitHub or GitLab, and start communicating with the project mentors, and you can find or make your own issue so that they can get to know about you, and later you can make okay, actually, the question was technical or theoretical. I didn't got it. Do you want to know that how to make a pull request or how that pull request thing works?
Uh, I think he was asking about how can we participate in open source program as project maintainer, or how can we submit our own project in our open
Okay,
source
yeah,
program.
that is also pretty much easy. You can make your own project, make your use your own ideas to implement that in your project, host your project in GitHub or GitLab, and take part in open source programs like Hacktoberfest, or you can also submit your project in JWOC that where we're going to host in next 2 months. So that is also one way to get into open source. If you want to get few contributor in your project, the best way to get contributor is to participate in any programs that maybe belongs to any college. I think nowadays most of the good colleges are conducting their own open source programs, so you can take part in any of the programs and uh, make your project more successful by adding more contributors. So
Balendo. So, yep, I think we have covered his query. And as we have very limited time, we are just moving very fast.
Yeah.
So how we'll find a repo that has bug? So basically, Subrata is asking how can we find issues in GitHub. So Palando, can you just
Okay.
share your screen and show him how can we find issues in
Yeah,
GitHub?
sure. Uh, this is the project that I have opened from the link that I got from Discord, and this is under the Hacktoberfest. And here is the code base. The first tab belongs to the code base, and second tab it's for issues. You can see it has been issued made by this person, and he had commented this thing: bad practice, extensive use of absolute paths, and someone need to fix this issue and make one pull request here. So if this is the issue, means that he wants to get solved. Here is also showing the time, and if someone fix the issue and submit the PR, his PR will be visible here, pull request. I think no one has seen this yet. So this is for these issues. I mean the that section to hold the issues.
So
Clearly,
you can you can
yeah,
find more issues in the navbar. We have issues tab here in the navbar.
yeah.
After the search field, we have issues. If you just click in the issues, you can add some filters here. You can definitely search issues which for any specific language. I can say that you are finding issues in JavaScript. So we have a filter called language JavaScript or that kind of thing, or in Python, and you can add those filters in in this search query, in your search query, and you will get the issues which are currently open or anything. Okay, so coming to our next question, where will we find the issues from Hacktoberfest? So Soham, you can find it like in two ways. You can join their official Discord server. Utpalendu, can you just scroll to the page and show how you can join the Discord server
Yeah,
of
sure.
Hacktoberfest?
Just scroll down here, and you will get one link to join the Hacktoberfest Discord server,
Discord server.
and you will get this kind of link. I mean, invitation link. Just accept the invitation, and you will be here.
And here in the Discord server, you can find some good projects which are already under Hacktoberfest. And as I already mentioned, we are also going to host some projects in our own organization, the Google Developer Student Club JGC GitHub organization. And these projects will also be included inside the Hacktoberfest event. So you can also submit your pull request in these projects. And they will be also counted as Hacktoberfest contribution. So this will be counted as your valid PR. Yep. So these are the two ways, and we have no more questions in Q&A. Let me check the general. Uh, I have started web dev. How can I use it in proper places and where to apply it in bigger events? Utpalendu, do you want to take
Okay,
it?
so actually, web dev is a vast field. You need to have proper knowledge. I think first you should learn it. Means reach the pro level. Pro means moderate or advanced level. Then you can shift to this open source kind of stuffs. And it is always pretty good to start with open source. You get to know about the industry knowledge, or the how websites are made in reality. So it's always good to start with open source. If you are learning web dev, I think you should continue learning it, and get into a pretty good level so that you can understand every concepts. I mean, at least you should have knowledge of JavaScript and some backend languages like Node.js or Django. That would be pretty good to start. Yeah.
Great. So I think we have no more questions for today, and we have few more minutes left. So Utpalendu, can you just want to tell about your Google Summer of Code experience? How
So
was your Google Summer of Code experience, and do you want to share some tips and tricks so that our juniors or our batchmates can also get some insights about how we can also
yeah,
get
so
a chance to participate in Google Summer of Code?
See that Google Summer of Code is a huge. I think it is a huge platform for all organization and even all mentees to take part. And it is one of the most, I would say, popular and most well-known program that hosted by Google. And the most of the people thinks it's quite hard and by seeing its code base. But if you look in detail or take some suggestion from any senior or the past GSOCR, you will get into know that it's not that much uh, really hard. Okay, so I think the most vital factor for getting into Google Summer of Code is the communication. If you maintain good communication with your mentor, you will definitely can crack, because the mentors are the one to suggest you how to write the good proposal, and even they are the people to select you. I mean, they are the people to shortlist and select you as a mentee. So I think good relation can definitely help. And if you face any problem, just they are the only people to solve your problem, and they will be giving you feedback against your project. And the most important case is that the all the projects that are done in Google Summer of Code are the demo or the I would say virtual kind of project that will come into only reality when your project will have some actually good efficiency. So you can make your project live as I did. I was a good quite good familiar with my mentor, and I asked him that how I can make my project a real project, because GSOC never do this. They just want you to work in their demo projects. So actually, it is pretty easy. If you have some good quality of code, definitely you can make it live. I mean, demo to live project. And to get into GSOC, another thing that I want to add, I have already mentioned it, that is a good proposal. Your proposal should be attractive. Just try to mention all the things or all the points clearly. Put the logo of that organization at the top of your proposal. Maintain a good timeline. You will find all the structure. Actually, the project structure, sorry, the proposal structure depends on the past year, that kind of proposal. So if you want to take part in any project of any organization, you should must do follow the past year proposals. The how the past year GSOC are, those who got selected, how they wrote their projects, sorry, their proposals, how they mentioned their timeline. Actually, they are the same people to shortlist you to the past GSOC of that same organization. So that was pretty much all about this, and you are going to get one certificate of participation in GSOC, and also one recommendation letter from Google, which is a kind of CV booster, I like to say, because any recruiter when sees that Google Summer of Code tag in your resume, definitely they are going to shortlist it in most of the cases. So it's quite good, and you can get pretty good amount of internships. I mean, internship offers from local or foreign, anywhere. And the most important thing that you are going to get is a huge community or that kind of connections. So there will be lot of persons who will be there to advise you and guide you to the means standard a standard career path. So these are quite means good helpful path that I have got from GSOC. Okay, so that was pretty much all about it. Niloy, do you want to conclude anything?
No, no, no. I don't have any experience about Google Summer of Code. So, yep. And Udvalindu, you can stop sharing your screen. And I think this is the final question for today.
Yeah.
Uh, Someone is asking, when does GSOC open again?
GSOC, see that there are a lot of myths and lot of I would say there are a lot of fake suggestion you can get through anywhere like LinkedIn, and there are a lot of persons who made media.com. I think that kind of blogs they used to post it. But if you really are fascinated about GSOC, just try to focus on the previous year projects or the past proposal. That will help you to boost your that selection process.
I
And next
think
thing,
he,
the
yep, I think
question
he's
is,
asking about the month or the timeline of the GSOC.
yeah. So GSOC basically their application begins in I think April or March, and the coding period begins in June. And this year it was of 2 months, and usually it helps is of 3 months. So the coding period begins on June, and I think the application begin on April or March. So keep your eyes on that. So yeah.
So, yep, that was it occurs twice a year. No, I don't think so.
No, once in a year.
Once in a year. So, yep, that was all about for today's session. I think you all have liked our session today, and thanks to all of you for staying to the end. And yep, we are also going to upload some cool projects as I already mentioned. So just keep an eye on our Discord server and GitHub organization. And yeah, I will highly encourage all of you to participate in Hacktoberfest. This not for just getting some goodies. It will definitely help you to learn something new, to get some insights about the open source world, how the open source projects actually work in real life. So yeah, for the knowledge purpose, you, you will definitely get some benefits from this event. So yeah, that was it for today, and thank you again. So bye bye.
Yeah.